Okay, so if anyone isn't, if anybody wants to jump off because it's recorded, that's fine. So everyone is sort of set to mute initially while I do the presentation of the 3 shifts, and then we'll do the Q&A then. If you have any cues that pop up to you, do feel free to put them in the chat. I'll just have probably limited capacity to monitor the chat at the same time. So just to be aware of that, but know that I will get to it for sure. Now I have to leave the participants open just so that I can keep admitting people. You are very, very welcome. I'm gonna give people a few more minutes to come. I mean, in the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask, and I'll answer them as best I can while I'm admitting. It's a pity people can't auto admit, but I think it's always like that with Zoom. Either I have to give you some kind of a code to get in, or else I admit you and I'm anti codes because not remembering things, so I'll just admit people as they come. So just first of all, checking you can hear me okay and you can see me okay. And then I'd like to get started. Well, give it maybe 2 minutes till 5 past just to let people in, and then I will get started. And in the meantime, as I say, if you have any questions, just shoot. You should have the power to unmute yourself. If you don't, let me know, but I think you do. Ooh, any research regarding menopause and COVID? What a great question. I have absolutely no idea. No idea. Really, I was about to say really interested, but then I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to invest time in investigating that, because for me, there's such a gap already in what we need to be doing around the whole narrative around perimenopause. But okay, I would be quite interested. I don't know, and if you come across anything like that, please do share it with me. Yeah, so I don't know if anybody here knows of any. Please feel free to ping a link into the chat box. Yeah, great question. Okay, so 1 more minute and then I will start. And again, just to say, you are very welcome. So some of you may have watched my other webinar. So this one is on the 4 patriarchal myths, which I'm very passionate about, but I'm going to obviously not get into those here because we've covered those there, and because it's really a whole workshop in itself. But it is if you haven't seen it, please do watch it at some point, because that shit is real. We are absolutely surrounded by a patriarchal narrative and a fragmented healthcare system, which is not serving us. I mean, it's great in so many ways, but it's not serving us for this particular transformation in our lives. So please, if you do get a chance, watch that. Now, I think that I have admitted all that I can for now. Full admission. So I am just going to get started. If there's anything, I can see the chat box. So if there's anything that you need that's urgent, and you can let me know. All right, so let me just set up this, and yeah, so probably if there's something urgent, you can unmute yourself, but otherwise probably better to stay muted, just because yourself there's noise in the background. Hopefully there won't be any here. So you're very welcome to the 3 shifts to transform your perimenopause symptoms into, whatever symptoms you're experiencing, into calm, self-connection, and confidence. So, of course, the big question is, why do we even need to be talking about this? Why is perimenopause, which really properly should be the most empowering, most liberating, most, amazing time of a woman's life, why is it instead so confusing, so disempowering, so exhausting, so full of symptoms, so full of brain fog, anxiety, sleep disruption. So if you have any symptoms that are presenting with you, please share them in the chat box, because it's just nice for share to give me some idea of where you're at, and also it might take quite a long time, but if you just to share them, so we get a sense of that community feeling of what we're all experiencing. Until the 3 shifts, that is. So, but yourself, there's more. I mean, there's like I don't know, 50, between 50 and 100 symptoms. There's lists of them everywhere. There are many. So why is that the case? And then why, when we go to the doctor, are we given our options so binary? It's like to artificially rebalance your hormones, or just suffer through it, just get through it. Why is it so binary like that? And then, of course, why do some women not experience any symptoms, and why do some whole cultures seem to experience no symptoms whatsoever? So, it would make you think, are we missing something? Is there a better way? Is there something that we're not doing right? And of course, that is my philosophy, and that's what I'm here to share with you. What are we not doing right here? So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sinead, and I'm a consciousness coach since my 20s now, so 3 decades. I've taught hundreds of women. I've been a keynote speaker at mind-body events all over the world. I have, since coming into perimenopause myself, and now I only work with perimenopausal women, helping them to tap into the gold that is perimenopause consciousness. So now I only work with perimenopausal women, because it's just such a joy. Now, as much as I can, I'm going to try to speak in the words of other women. I've asked some women that I've been working with to share with me their experiences, because, I'm kind of aware that to talk about the transition from perimenopause being what it is, which is, perceived as pretty horrendous. Oh, it's really can be really hard, right? Let's not beat around the bush here, and none of this toxic positivity. It can be really hard. So that I'm saying that we can move it from this to, something that's amazing and incredible, and an amazing experience, and something to be excited about, is a pretty radical shift, pretty radical transition. So I like to speak in the words of other women, just so that you can hear that I'm not the only one who's experiencing this huge difference. So yeah, I'd like to share with one. So first of all, so this is a beautiful woman in Belgium. And before, when I read articles about perimenopause, I was pushing it away. I couldn't talk about it. Now I can. It's a total shift in how I approach the issue. Actually, it's not an issue anymore. I'm becoming more powerful. So that's what I want you to feel, more powerful. My mission is to create a space for women to practice this power, this perimenopause power. So you are in the right place if you're feeling any symptoms. I hope you've been sharing with them. Thank you. Yeah. If you're experiencing any symptoms at all, or if you're just interested in a more empowered perimenopause. So just looking at those symptoms, and, just for you to know, this is not a workshop about learning how to cope with your symptoms. I'm not talking about coping. I'm talking about totally flipping them, transforming the energy of your symptoms into energy that you can use for self-connection, for creative projects, for manifesting, for whatever you like. Now, I know that, talking about transforming the energy of symptoms into energy you can use for manifesting sounds like quite advanced stuff, but just, tap into this. So there is energy in your symptoms, right? There's energy there. Now, I don't mean you feel energy. I mean that there's energy that is giving you anxiety. There's energy that is waking you up at night. There's energy in your symptoms. So what we can do is to access that energy, transform that energy, and use that energy. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. So before we start, I would like to ask 3 things of you. The first is that you're here, basically, which you are here, but, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, that you are here with me. I don't mind if your eyes closed, but just to let it sink in, just to feel what I'm saying, that you take this time for yourself. And so ideally, closing things that may distract you, including doors. And I have a dog who's coming in and out, but anything that might distract you, pets are okay. To try to, let go of that and be here as present as you can be, because this time, this matters. And also the second agreement is that you will be at least open to the idea that the dominant narrative around perimenopause being a time of lack of anything is complete BS. So just to be open to that it could be, we could have it completely wrong. So just please be open to that. That's the second. And then the third is, if and what I'm saying is vibe, and if you're like, maybe that's a thing, that you'll take some action. And I don't really mind what action it is, but that you'll take some action to get yourself on this path to a really beautiful, empowered perimenopause. Okay. So they're the 3 agreements. So if you fancy giving me a little thumbs up or something in the chat, I'd be very grateful, just so that I know that you're with me and that that you're with me on these 3 agreements. So what are we not told about perimenopause? Well, the short answer is a lot. But for me, the most interesting thing about perimenopause that we're not told is that it's not just a shift in hormones, it's also a shift in consciousness. So it is this consciousness that's absolute gold. And it is this consciousness that enables us to feel more calm, more self-connected, and more confident than we have ever done, than was even available to us in our pre-perimenopausal state. And it is this consciousness that allows us to transform the energy of these badass symptoms into energy that you can use for whatever you like, for more presence, for your relationship, for projects, for whatever you've got going on. Now, most other cultures have held that perimenopause is this portal, this time of change from mother to wise woman. So, this isn't radical in the greater scheme of things. Most other cultures have held that. And that's what I'm, trying to say, is that perimenopause is an invitation to this. So in our society, it'd be really easy to miss the invite and to believe that it's something we got to numb out and medicalize, but it is an invitation to a deeper state of consciousness, and why that matters I'm going to get into. But just for you now, like, do you think that experiencing perimenopause as this shift, the conscious transformation from where you were up until now to this wise woman with more discernment and more power, more strength, more gravitas, is kind of a male word, but I don't think it necessarily is, more just vibing at a higher or deeper level? Don't you think that would be important? Do you feel that would be, impactful for the rest of your, maybe the next few years, next 10 years, rest of your life, family, planet, so I'm hoping that you're open to that. So 3 shifts, what are they? Actually, let me just give you another little quote. Oh yeah, so this is the same woman, actually. When I began, my symptoms were all over the place. I felt lost. I feel a different energy now, more confident, not just self-confident, but more in what the universe is holding for me. I feel more calm. I feel more peace. So that's what this is an invitation to. What perimenopause is an invitation to. So shift number 1. What is shift number 1? Each of the 3 shifts begin with A, so that makes it a little bit easier to remember. An A. So shift number 1 is activate, to activate perimenopause consciousness. So what is perimenopause consciousness? It is a deep intuitive knowing, a grounded sensitivity. Now, sensitivity is usually not considered a good thing, because it's usually ungrounded, and ungrounded sensitivity is pretty mad, bad, and dangerous to know, pretty sparky. But grounded sensitivity is a superpower. Pretty much all superpowers that superheroes have is some form of grounded sensitivity. It feels like an embodied certainty on what's needed. It feels like clarity. It feels easy. It feels a little bit like falling back into your natural knowing. So the overarching thing is it's easy. But if we don't activate this consciousness, then what do we feel? We probably feel like you may be experiencing now symptomatic, because perimenopause does bring heightened sensitivity, and without this consciousness, it manifests as the chaos of symptoms. Also, we stay in our heads and not in our bodies, and then when we go to our doctor, he'll probably, all he's got really is to offer us some kind of medication, or we might go the route of self-medication, with whatever is your chosen flavor. And but none of this is improving our calm, self-connection, and confidence, right? So then what happens when we do activate perimenopause consciousness? I mean, the feeling is like I'm reading out to you there. That's the feeling. It's like coming home to your body. So I've been working with consciousness, as I was saying, for over 30 years. And for me to teach this, and, to guide you through this is usually very difficult up until perimenopause, except for pregnant women. It was always easier with pregnant women to talk them into an embodied, more self-aware, self-connected state, because you have that feeling in pregnancy. And it's the same now. Up until this point, it was difficult. Now with perimenopausal women, literally every perimenopausal woman I've worked with, it's easy. No matter how, in the more symptomatic, almost the easier, because that is the consciousness. And it's easy to come into this embodied state. So to get women out of their heads into their bodies, traditionally super easy, but because of perimenopause and because of what perimenopause is, this magical portal, it's an invitation to come home to the body. So yeah, if you don't ground it, then it's a whole host of badass symptoms. But if you do, it's this beautiful state of self-connection. Now, when you do come home to the body, unprocessed emotions do come up. But with this like gold, this superpower of perimenopause consciousness, it's like we have a power to process them. And it means we actually get to deal with the stuff that we've been carrying, and some of which is often from previous generations, because we carry this, karmically, if you believe in that, but even cellularly, if you believe in that. So whichever way you look at it, we're carrying stuff from previous generations. And so this means that this consciousness work can break the intergenerational cycle of shame, really, is really what it is, and other stuff as well, thrown in for good measure. That's been passed down from woman to woman, generations, for hundreds, but probably thousands of years. And we get to break that and pass on a new story cellularly. So now you can see how this process, activating perimenopause consciousness, does improve your calm, self-connection, and self-confidence, right? And what I really feel also is it just makes you feel that getting through isn't enough, that there's so much more on offer here. So that's shift number 1, to activate perimenopause consciousness. So shift number 2, I promised another A. Shift number 2 is also allow. So allow means, it's multi-layered, but really at the sort of most physical level, I suppose, although they're more than physical, but the most obvious level is to allow our symptoms to speak, come back into balance. So it's kind of the exact opposite of the patriarchal model of managing symptoms or mastering symptoms, because the concept of mastering symptoms is that there is a master and something to be mastered, which is not a healthy relationship, right? Whether it's you're mastering your symptoms or mastering your body, whatever you're mastering, it's not a healthy dynamic, and it's not what we want to be doing. So instead, we allow our symptoms to communicate what they're trying to tell us, because perimenopause symptoms are bodily intelligence, and it's not just random what symptoms you get. It's important bodily messages communicating to you something important about your own personal healing journey. So it's your own little prescription. So what happens if we don't listen to, if we don't allow perimenopause symptoms to communicate with us? We continue in the current paradigm of seeing symptoms as things, as kind of almost invading things, or things that are somehow separate from us, to be conquered. And we see menopause as to be mastered. There's so many master classes in menopause, which I think is not so many, but you know what I mean. If I ever see master your menopause or something, I'm like, really, it's really not what we need to be doing. So yeah, we don't want to master our menopause, because it creates this internal division, internal conflict, and basically mind body at war, which we've had enough of for long enough. And really, for me, perimenopause is the body saying, yeah, I'm not putting up with that anymore. I'm winning. The body just takes over. So yeah, but also when we don't have this shift, we tend to keep believing in the narrative that there's something wrong with us, which is really corrosive to our self-confidence, I think, more than we even imagine. Just this narrative is so, it just really gets in. And then also the obvious thing is to numb out, is to look to numb out. It seems like the logical thing to do. Why wouldn't you? Why would you suffer? And I'm not a fan of suffering in any way. But numbing out seems like the obvious thing to do. And I do know, like, symptoms are badass, they can be a lot, they can be overwhelming, but numbing out does come at a cost. for one thing, we miss out on the true embodied self-healing that perimenopause offers to us. Also, we continue the cycle of female disempowerment and shame. And also, perimenopause feels hard. And it's my firm belief that it does not have to. It does not have to feel hard. It can feel like the most beautiful thing. I really believe that. So that's, why we have the shift. So if we do have this shift, the second shift of allowing symptoms to communicate to us, symptoms, I call them symptoms, but really it's just bodily intelligence. Symptoms completely change. They completely change. And even on shift one, to be honest, they completely change. But we perceive them as different. We perceive them not as something that's happening to us, but as processes that are part of, our personal process that carry invaluable qualitative data on our own personal journey and unfolding. And we also begin to value our bodily intelligence and realize that suppressing bodily intelligence is not empowering. That's how it's packaged at the moment. The way to have an empowered perimenopause is to numb out. And, how can quietening the messages of the body be numbing out? It can help you to get through, but there's so much more on offer than just getting through. So perimenopause is transformed into an experience of self-connection and self-healing. The actual experience of perimenopause is what offers the self-connection and self-healing, an empowered journey that is your birthright. Also, really importantly, as you start to pick up on the more subtle messages of the body, so then you don't have to reach quite an advanced stage of whatever it may be manifesting before you're aware that something is amiss. So that for me is like the cheapest health insurance and the best health insurance you can have, is body awareness. So that is shift number 2, allow. So activate perimenopause consciousness, shift number 1. Shift number 2, allow. And it's quite multi-layered and it's quite yielding, it's quite softening, and it's beautiful, beautiful process. That is kind of the opposite of everything that we're told to do. And again, not allowing suffering, not allowing not getting through. It's, it's really important that you're clear, and it's not about getting through at all. It's the opposite. So shift number 3, another A, as I promised, this is actualize. So this is where the fun really begins. Actualize. So we are told a big lie, many big lies, but one of the big lies is the perimenopause has no purpose, but that is simply untrue. The purpose of perimenopause, I hold, is self-actualization, becoming all that you can be. And this concept, I mentioned this in my other workshop, the concept isn't new. It's mentioned in ancient Greece, and it's called flourishing. And it's a beautiful concept. But and the idea is when you're about 40, when you've done your service to your family and to society and stuff you needed to be doing, when you hit about 40, then you can pay attention to your self-actualization, to your becoming all you can be. But in early Greece, of course, total bro show, and we don't talk about how women self-actualize. It was only for men. And it's ironic and really annoying because we are actually biologically primed to self-actualize at this time. So that is what this time is about, our own beautiful self-actualization. So how do we do that? So the energy that's currently manifesting as the symptoms, the energy of anxiety, the energy of a hot flash, what about that, eh? If you could, put that to work. And the energy that wakes you up at night, we work with the energy itself. We work straight with that energy because it's there, it's present, and we have this power and we can do it. So what we do is, after we activate perimenopause consciousness, after we allow our symptoms to communicate, and it's more than communicating, it's more than listening, it's really, I call it more like communion. We come into communion with our symptoms. And that might sound really badass, like what? Come into a communion with a hot flash? What am I going to combust? But communion is what it is, and it's a softening, and it's a gentler. There is a little bit of reverence involved, just for the body and for the. I just thought, I actually have not been. Have I been letting people in? Oh, I must let people in. I totally forgot. Sorry, let me just let people in here. It would really, admit all. Sorry, I just remembered that I'm supposed to be letting people in. I'm so sorry. You're very welcome if you just joined us. So we've covered 2 shifts, and we're in our 3rd shift, which is the most the most fun in a way, the actualizing. So activating perimenopause consciousness, allowing and really coming to communion with our symptoms, and then actualizing with the energy of the symptoms. So after we've done the first two shifts, we come into this process of actualization. So we're really co-creating with our symptoms. It sounds so wild. Me and my hot flash, we're going to make some art. I mean, actually, women have been doing it for a long time, but we co-create with our symptoms. And we're sold again this lie of that our creativity is over because our creativity is so intrinsically linked with our fertility. But in fact, if you think about it, we are entering our most creative time. So we co-create with the energy, and we create and manifest, exactly whatever it is, and the beautiful projects or whatever is going to be the next adventure. So we have lots of energy, right? So you can feel that the energy that's turning up currently as symptoms, and we transmute that energy, transform that energy into energy to actualize, to manifest for project or for your relationship or for self-actualization, for really whatever it is that is your own priority, or self-healing, deep embodied self-healing. So now if we don't do this shift, if we don't do the actualization, you see the energy has to go somewhere, right? I mean, you're feeling it, like there's a lot of energy that comes up, so it has to go somewhere. And if we don't make this shift, then it can stay in this chaotic form. And with the current Western model, it's kind of that whack-a-mole thing of like, it pops up in one form and you kind of push it down, but then it just pops up in another form, right? So this way just doesn't work. So plus also we're missing out on the gold that the consciousness is. And so if we don't actualize, that's what happens. It's going to turn up somewhere for sure. If we do have this process of, sometimes I call it giving the energy of the symptoms a job, but again, that's a bit mastery, because it's not that. It really is a co-creation. But anyway, so what happens if we do actualize, if we do activate perimenopause consciousnness, and allow and come into communion with the symptoms, and then actualize? Then what are we going to make? What are we going to do? What are we going to do with all this energy? And you'll feel, to me, that's what happens when you feel the truth of what perimenopause is, which is, contrary to the dominant narrative, our most creative time. So basically, because up to now your creativity has been absorbed with creating the next generation, whether you did have a kid or not, that's what your energy has been all about. And that's over now. So our creativity is all for us. So by activating perimenopause consciousness, allowing our symptoms to speak and working with them, not against them, we can transmute the energy and to create whatever is our highest or deepest, wish to create. We can do that. And again, I just want to read somebody. So this is, a lovely woman I'm working with here in Ireland. I'm loving the shifts that have happened to me already. I'm more in tune with what my body is telling me. My sleep is less disturbed. So this is how the symptoms start to shift immediately. And my sleep is less disturbed. And if I wake, I'm not tossing and turning, but tuning into what I need to hear. My relationship with my family is more aligned and enjoyable. And I've been so productive in my business that I am so productive. So that's what I really want to get to here. So productive in my business. I'm stepping into my awesomeness. So that's really what I wanted to, I'm saying that one here because the idea of, oh, well, I'm much more productive now because I'm in perimenopause, people would look at you going, what? But we are much more productive because we have these superpowers of embodiment and strong discernment, which is, often comes out in negative ways when we don't ground it, but we have all we need to be extremely productive and extremely creative at this time. So let's talk about your signature symptoms now, because, I love that they're all so different and that there's a reason for that. So this is kind of whatever you're experiencing, and we'll go into a few of the symptoms, and this is what you could expect, to how they may transform if you do these 3 shifts. So first of all, just a caveat saying I'm obviously not a doctor, I'm a consciousness coach, and I guide you to drop into the consciousness of your symptoms, and because they are such valuable qualitative data for your own healing, and because they're really powerful for co-creating. So first symptom, sleep. This is the one that I just hear over and over again, disrupted sleep. It's a big one. So when you do these 3 shifts, how can you expect your sleep to be transformed? So it just becomes totally different. It's really kind of hard to put it into words, but it becomes totally different. It becomes more nuanced. It becomes more liminal, lovely word. It becomes a little bit like a meditation, which is really handy because, even though I've been meditating for 30 years, it's not easy to find time for meditation. But now all of my meditation happens at night. Night changes completely and it becomes this night consciousness. So when you do kind of come to I have embodied practices that I give you that are very easy and very just so easy because you're perimenopausal. It comes so easy to slip down into your body, and then when you go back to sleep, which happens, I've got another lovely quote there, which I might get to about like straight back to sleep, and she says she can't believe how transformative it is, straight back to sleep. But what I love is it's not the old sleep. It's deep and it's beautiful, but the mad thing about this one is you wake up with these like, okay, that's why that happened. With these just intuitive realizations and these knowings and this embodied wise woman stuff. It just happens. It all happens at night, and then not all happens at night. You get them in the day as well, but mostly at night. You wake up going, yes, now I know things. It's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, you wake up well rested and wiser. I mean, how funky is that? Okay, second symptom, anxiety. This is a big one, and it really kicks off in perimenopause, which is, I shouldn't be sad because it's good, because it is a strong call to the body going, no, I'm not having any more of this now. We're going to do something here. So anxiety is a strong indication of being not fully in your body. You probably knew that already, but if you did know that, or even if you didn't know that, the process that I'm offering here, that I'm suggesting here, is will be super impactful. And just know the perimenopause is the time. It's the time when it may have been very hard for you before. Now you're going to find it so easy because, basically, just I would never be this confident of women in their 20s and 30s. I couldn't be. I wouldn't still today would not be as confident talking to women in their 20s and 30s. But sorry, I have to admit more women here. But in perimenopause, I'm 100% confident. It's because it's very much like working with pregnant women again. It's just that total shift in consciousness where hormones are ruling the roost, and it becomes a lot easier to embody this, to have a more embodied state of being. So anxiety is an indication that you're not living in an embodied way, that you're not embodied, but this process will really help. So now I understand that sometimes, like, the concept of coming back to the body, of coming to the body basically can feel scary because the body does hold a lot. But with perimenopause consciousness, just please have faith that it's like this superpower to release, to process, and it's not an analytic process. It's not at all, talky or analytic or needing to know. There's a lot of, again, just letting go of the needing to know. It's embodied. It's fully embodied, which just makes it really so much easier. And it can give us the feeling of landing in our bodies, and that maybe for the first time ever, which is really, really beautiful. It just feels so good to, it just feels different and feels really nice. So then another big symptom that I get asked a lot about is brain fog. So brain fog points to a change in our cognitive processes. So your thinking becomes more embodied. Now, again, like, I really feel this is a little bit like the pregnancy thing. So if you have ever been pregnant, just feel back to that feeling of you've no idea where you've left your car keys, but you have this like inner knowing of everything, of exactly what is for you and what is not for you. And your sense of smell gets stronger as well, because your intuition and your sense of smell are super closely related, which is why I'm creator of smelly things to pull people into their body and listen to that plant consciousness. So this intuitive embodied knowing that you feel that you have when you're pregnant. So you may have felt that, and in any case, it's available to everybody now. So yay! When you're perimenopausal, your sense of smell gets much stronger again for exactly the same reason. yay. And so it's a more intuitive cognition, totally different form of cognition, much more intuitive. But, I'm always thinking, AI and everything, AI can do everything now. I'm like, well, it can't do intuitive cognition. So I think the real estate or the value of intuitive cognition only going up. So feeling that is what we want to do. And it's so much more sure. It's so much more certain. I'm not going to get to all of my lovely quotes here. But maybe I'll just do one more quickly. I've been working with Sinead. She brings techniques and insights from her vast experience. These are conveyed in a very relatable way, allowing me to apply them in areas of my life that have been affected with processes of menopause. I feel empowered in applying these tools to improve my lifestyle, as well as a shift in mindset around a number of ways this life phase is viewed in today's world. I totally recommend her course as it takes you step by step and guides you through the levels. So that's I was actually thinking of another quote then when I said that. Intuitive intelligence, can't remember. But embodied intuitive intelligence that's what these women are feeling. It's the confidence, the certainty, there's three. I didn't get those words myself. It was another woman that said to me, self-confidence, self-connection, and calm. I think they were the three. So they're the overall feelings that these shifts invite you to in perimenopause. Another big symptom that comes up is libido, low libido. So I get often asked it, not as often as I'd like, if I'm fully honest, because often it's not a priority for women. But I feel like, not that it should be, there's absolutely no shoulds, but that it's important, just that it's important. So low libido gone. And there's this thing called clitoral atrophy. Have you heard about that one? Yeah, not on my watch. That's not happening. So, like everything, sex changes, but in my view, like everything, it changes, and it also brings with it an invitation to make it better than ever. Every symptom is that. And so we rediscover our sexuality. And this can be with or without a partner. Got a few on that, and often they're without partners. A few lovely messages about how they're getting on. So we've practiced around that. I'm not going to go into those now, but just the overarching thing is to know that all symptoms are linked. And in contrast to the kind of whack-a-mole aspect of Western medicine, we work with one symptom. We don't work with one symptom, but as soon as we work with one symptom, all the others come back into balance. So it's just, you can feel yourself intuitively that just makes sense. So I have, I have one, another little testimonial or something that one woman was sharing with me. So she said, I've shared with you a few nights I've woken up in a state of anxiety. I followed your practice and immediately fell back to sleep. It's been transformational. I can't believe how deeply effective this work is. That was the one I was referencing earlier. So you have the 3 stages now. Activate perimenopause consciousness, allow symptoms, actualize the energy of the symptoms, thereby totally transforming their energy from chaotic, disruptive, disempowering, overwhelming, to energy you can access to co-create your next great adventure, your next great project, your next whatever it is you wish to manifest, because don't doubt the power of this. And perimenopause is a guilt-edged invitation to your power. So please don't miss that invitation. So I would also like to invite you now to join me to learn exactly how to do that, if that's okay. So I've got a full program where I go through the 3 shifts, but the most important one, I think, is activating perimenopause consciousness. The first one really kind of kicks it all off. So what I've done is just kind of I've broken out in a separate 5-week program, and because this is where I think you're going to have the biggest, you get the biggest benefit straight away, quickest. So I'm going to share with you a page now. How do I do that? I think I can share with you a link. Is that all right? And then command copy. I'm going to try to do that just so that you have it and you can have a go. Waiting room participants is not in the meeting. Okay, is there somebody who's not here? Oh, sorry, I think I was sending that to the waiting room. So there, you have it now. I feel like you've no energy at all. Yes, now I feel that. And you are, and that, but imagine how much energy it takes to feel no energy, because you've got all this energy of symptoms, and then you've got this energy that's just, you know, kind of holding it down and just absolutely, you know, sort of inerting it, if you know what I mean. So that energy is for us, is available for us to use. Okay, so I shared the link with you there, so I'm going to just go through that now. I wonder actually if I can do a screen share. Might be an easier way to do it. Share screen. A screen share might be an easier way to do it. Let me tell me if you can see my screen now. There's me. Can you see my screen? Does it look really messy? Let me know, give me a thumbs up or whatever if you can see my screen. So ideally you'll just be able to see all of my screen. Thumbs up, cool. Okay, so I'm trying to hide everything else. So if you can see it, that's great. So yeah, so this is the invitation now. So I will just scroll down again. It's like transforming symptoms, and it's really important to, you know, shift your mind from the idea of coping, because it is not coping. Coping is what we do not want to do. We want to totally flip them so that they're a force for good, that they are actually welcome, that you're like almost saying, come on, bring them on, give me another few. Because all of their energy can be transmuted and shifted and used. I don't like the concept used, but you know, put to effect, brings a range of challenges. You can feel this, but it's a portal. And you know, so many other cultures have held that. In Ireland we have the Cailleach state, and we have, you know, that there's that it's a portal to another state of being, the crone state. But our society, when you look up crone in Google, don't do it. An ugly old woman. It's like, you know, we've got a lot to fight against. But anyway, we can just do it on our own terms. Yeah, so it is a different state of being. So these are some of the blocks that, you know, the women don't understand what symptoms are, think HRT will fix everything, hormone therapy will fix everything, or that there's no time for self-care. Like, what I really like about this is the bang for buck thing, that, you know, really all of my meditation happens at night. A lot of the work that we do happens in probably all of it happens in subconscious mind, and so it's really good. It doesn't take any time at all. Getting through is not okay. Join me for a 5-week immersion to activate your perimenopause mind, transform your systems. Guaranteed. I can't actually guarantee it because I know it works. Couldn't have in your 20s or 30s, can now. A 5-week program to move beyond fragmented and patriarchal healthcare, which cannot serve you now, and into your true power, with all you need for a glorious second spring. So a lot of it is about really kind of designing this the next phase. So what we cover is not just to understand your signature symptoms, but to transform them, how to decolonize your mind of the patriarchal myths that are just sabotaging perimenopause, and how to increase your intuition so you can make better decisions. And what I love about them is just the confidence that they come with, and no second guessing, because they're really embodied, turning hot sweats into power surges. They are powerful, and they can be put to all sorts of uses. To ground mood swings, just for more joy, just to experience more joy and more presence, which is such a valuable commodity, and is, again, I don't think was as available to us in our pre-perimenopausal state. To recalibrate night consciousness, to wake up rested and wake up wiser, and to learn practices that take no time out of your day because you don't have it anyway, and to be more confident in mind and body than you've ever been before. Now normally I do one-on-one, so at the moment I can't. I'm fully booked. So, but normally, like, it'd be 1475 for 5 weeks support. I'm at full capacity, which I'm kind of proud of, but kind of also like, I wish I could help more women, but you know, the need is huge. But it's great that women are really open to this, and experiencing such amazing transformations so quickly. It's unbelievable, the speed. So this is much lower level. So how we spend our 5 weeks together. Week 1, all about signature symptoms, so that you'll really just get a nuanced, a textured, a completely different experience of your symptoms and what they're really saying. That sounds really flat. It's not what they're really saying, because it's not one-way communication. It's just really it's nuanced, it's textured, and they just, how you feel about them changes, and then they change completely, like immediately, and they just change in nature. Week 2 is what is your pelvic bowl holding, so that then we do a deep clearing there. So many women, women are completely disassociating from their pelvic bowl, and there's a lot of reasons for that. So let's just change that. And again, it's easy because it's natural. It just feels like falling back into something that just feels so natural, so normal, so right. Week 3 is night consciousness, so we completely transform your sleep. And week 4 is gut consciousness, and that helps with healing brain fog and weight fluctuation. Is something, again, that's just is very intuitive, very instinctive, comes very naturally. And then week 5 is really how to experience this is as the magic portal that it is. Then I've got lots of lovely bonuses. Signature symptoms workbook, guide to meditation, perhaps to beginners, art of meditation. Sometimes I get asked, is this meditation? It is meditative, but it's not meditation. So whether you have if you have a meditation practice, certainly it'll help, but it's quite different probably. It's much more embodied than meditation usually is. And it's easy. That's the main thing. It's not, because often I have women who go like, don't ask me to meditate, can't meditate. It feels much more natural. It doesn't feel like meditation if you've tried that and hasn't worked before. It doesn't feel like that. It feels just much more embodied, intuitive, instinctive, and easy. Magic of Gratitude Blueprint, Brain Fog to Clarity Worksheet, Essential Oils Rituals for Perimenopause. So that is what you get: 5 weeks of mentorship, weekly fully interactive deep consciousness session, all the core content, workbooks and resources to keep, all the bonuses, opportunity to hear and questions answered live or in between our meetups, because probably stuff will come up in between. So much happens in between. Surrounded by a positive narrative around perimenopause. Woo! Perimenopause is amazing, because it really is. It can be, it should be, it is for so many other cultures. Why can't it be for us? Of course it can. Fully bespoke guidance, option of accountability support for self-care needs, that's really helpful. A community of women who are on the same path, and embodied practices to transform perimenopause into a time of calm, connection, and self-confidence. Yours today for only $497. And then I'm doing a special workshop special to receive a yogandha gift set if you jump in on the workshop. So it's my great honor and pleasure to be able to gift you with my lovely oils. So you may or may not know them. I know we have Diane here, who's a big supporter, and I know we have a lot of people here who do use them, but if you don't know them, they're lovely. They're the product of intuitive blending. I won't go into them now, but that's a gift for you if you do sign up on the workshop. So I'm hoping that you will, and if you do, please put it in the chat so that I can welcome you officially. Now, my guarantee, like, I would never have done this in any previous decades, but I know I can, because I know I can give this guarantee, because I know you'll feel it, because it's not me, it's the hormones. If you fully engage with the program and you don't feel more calm, more confident, and more self-connected after the 5 weeks, I will fully reimburse you money, and I'll gift you a one-on-one session to help remove whatever may be blocking you. So, we'll have a deep one-on-one session, and then everything will be recorded so you can watch it again. But if you don't feel like, I'm so confident, because honestly, often when I start with women, that they have the first shift like immediately, often before we have any kind of intense session, it starts, because we're working with consciousness. Now here is a lovely QR code that you can ping, and that just makes it easy. So I'll come back and rest on that. I'll just go down the page for now. It's just about me. So I've told you about that already. We're going, I'm with you, basically. I'm going to go back and stay on the QR code, just if that is, just do a little screeny thing of that, whether you use it or not, but just to have it. And I am going to take any questions. First of all, thank you so much for staying with me. And then feel free to ask any questions. So I'll leave that there. I'd quite like to stop sharing, so I'll give you just a couple of minutes to scan that if you want to, and then I will I don't even know if I need to have it up. I'll leave it a couple more minutes, but then I'll take any questions. So in our chat, if you have any questions, please shoot. I am open to anything at all that you have, that you're experiencing. Natalie entered. You're very welcome. So some people are just entering now. It could be a time thing. So if you are just entering now, just a heads up, you're meeting a QR code. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that QR code. I think I'm going to stop sharing. Can we have a small preview of what it's going to be like some exercise? I wasn't planning on doing an exercise. I can do though, shall we? Will we do an exercise? The only thing is that then there won't be so much time, little one. Yeah, I think we can do a quick one. Now, the only thing is that, oh, thank you, Anne-Marie. The only thing is that, you know, usually we have a full hour to do deep consciousness work. So, you know what I mean? Like a little nip into deep consciousness isn't quite the same. But I hear you, and I think we can. So I'm just kind of, yeah, I think we should just go for it, because you know I will never resist the opportunity to do it. If anybody has any questions, I mean, I'm presuming everybody's kind of open to that. Just doing a quick little session. There's Jana, you're welcome. So let's do just a quick little session. So please, if you have my oils, use them, and if you don't, just stay where you are. I'm going to do a little session. I don't know what I'm going to do until I come into it, but I'm going to use, I think it's got to be balance. So the reason we use oils is because they have been used for consciousness work for at least 5,000 years, and they help to get us into this embodied state. It's like a backstage pass to the body, because you just bypass the thinking mind, which is really convenient. Come on in, Jacqueline, you're very welcome. So I think probably some people got the time wrong, which is fine. You're here just for the consciousness part. So just wherever you are, and if you want to turn off your screen, do, but I'd be very open to keeping it on just for that energetic exchange. Even though my eyes are closed, I can feel you. So just feel into where your consciousness is now. And generally when we start, our consciousness is up in the head. So you'll probably be experiencing your consciousness in the head. So just feel it. And I'm a big fan of using imaginal reality. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, just imagine you could feel your consciousness and imagine where you would feel it. And it probably is in your head, because that's where we've been told to reside all of our lives since we were very, very small. So then just be open to moving your consciousness a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right. And just feel if you can feel your consciousness moving a little bit one way, a little bit to the other. And just be open to what comes up when you do that. It could be that one part of your body starts kicking off. So just be open to what comes up and just be present with it. If you want to share, do, but I'd rather you kept your eyes closed, really. So then be open to that consciousness, inviting it to move down the body. It'll move at its own pace. It may not move at all, and that's okay. Again, maybe use your imaginary reality and just invite it to move from the head down to the throat. As soon as I move it to the throat, Crystal's going, could you have a drink, please? So I will. So moving it down the body. And just feel where it pauses. I always like to think it stops in the heart for a little welcome home. And if it wishes to remain there, that's absolutely fine. If it feels available to you, I would invite it to drop a little further down. Now, often when it comes into the belly, it can, whether it's all the digestion that's going on there, or whether it's the Manipura chakra that's I don't love to use the word blocked, but with whatever's going on there, often it can feel like it may not be more available to move down further. At least it will feel that it qualitatively changes, and that's okay. So just be present with that and just be open to the availability of it coming down further. You can use your hand actually if you want. There's no need because obviously it's internal, and feel the availability of moving your consciousness into your pelvic bowl. And if you can, just feel how it shifts, how it changes. The consciousness in the pelvic bowl is a different quality. So just be present with that. Really in listening mode. A little bit of reverence mode. Now, you probably find that you ping straight back up again. If there's any noise, if there's anything, if you're suddenly self-conscious, if there's anything really that happens, or for no reason, you ping back up again. So I just invite you to say, oh, we're up again. Let's go down again and just do it again. And go more slowly if you like, go more quickly if you like, doesn't matter. Just feel that journey. And again, just be open to what you hear. So I am in no way going to be instructive or prescriptive or guide you to where we want to go. It's just really about remaining in the pelvic bowl and listening. Feeling if any part of the body presents itself in any form. It could be it could be jitters, it could be pain, it could be anything, really anything, physical, and it could be anything on any of the bodies, the physical body, and it could be something that emerges in the emotional body. So just be open to what presents itself. And again, if you've pinged up, we'll come down one more time. And maybe go a little slower this time. And just feel into, it can be the chakras or it can be the organs as you go down. Or it can be just the quality of the consciousness. How it changes. And we have a few practices around this. One beautiful one is to work with a mantra and to have the mantra when we're in our heads, and then feel the mantra when the consciousness is in our hearts, and to say it. And it sounds completely different and it feels completely different. And then to have the mantra when we're in our pelvic bowls. And I'd like you just to feel the consciousness in the pelvic bowl. And it can be as physical as you like, as feeling like you're getting to know the inner structure of the pelvic bowl. So again, it's not, so much energy. Of course there is energy, but it's really very physical. The quality of the pelvic bowl, how it feels. So then let's bring our hands into heart center. And let's finish with the breath of infinite compassion. So we just do one breath of infinite compassion. So here we inhale the arms up, inhaling all the way up and open, and then exhaling, making the biggest circle you can, keeping the palms facing each other because there's an energetic connection between the palms. So keeping them facing each other all the way around back together. Lovely. And then I would love if you would share if you felt any difference as you went down. Was it available to you to let your consciousness slide down? Did it feel inaccessible? Did it feel accessible? I mean, it was very quick, and also this setting the setting actually isn't bad. It's quite nice being with a lot of other women. Very calming, nice, great. Oh, I'm happy. Yeah, so that is how we move the consciousness down the body, and then we have different practices with that, and to meet the symptoms in that consciousness of holding ourselves deep in the pelvic bowl. Now, does anyone have any questions around any symptoms that they are experiencing, or anything that they're experiencing in perimenopause that they would like to share or to ask about, of how the 3 shifts of activating the perimenopausal mind, allowing, and then actualizing of how it might impact them, or just any questions at all around that? Joint pain, yeah. So joint pain is very present. You're very welcome, Renata. Very present. Some form of physical pain is almost always manifesting in with the women I work with. Some form of physical pain always comes up, and it can particularly be felt in the joints. So, I mean, what we do is when we get deep on the your signature symptoms, what we go into really is the elements. So the elements so it's a little bit from Ayurvedic medicine, a little bit from shamanism. So it's Celtic shamanism. There's 4 elements. With Ayurveda, there's a 5th, ether. We work with the elements and how they're manifesting both in your constitutional self pre-perimenopause, and how they're manifesting in perimenopause, and how they're manifesting in symptoms. So that really helps to inform joint pain, particularly because that speaks a lot to what the elements, how the elements are behaving, what elements are maybe out of alignment with your perimenopause, with your symptoms. So we go into that, but yeah, I mean, what happened, and then often the question I got asked is something so physical as that, as joint pain. Like, it is so physical, right? You're feeling it so much, and how can because what I'm the methodology, it sounds a bit like it's a mind shift, right? It sounds a bit like it's changing a narrative. So how can changing a narrative change something so physical as joint pain? But without exception, when I've been working with women, the pain, no matter how physical it is, starts to transform, starts to change, starts to become more nuanced. Often there's insights around what's going on with it in terms of what's out of balance, but it can also be what's being held in the body, and often it's the nervous system holding something from a long time ago, and we don't have to go into the specificities of what it is. Sometimes they do emerge, but it's really about releasing in an embodied way, and that really helps to bring the symptoms back into balance. So so something as physical as joint pain will be impacted by this, just because all of the symptoms, no matter how physical, start to shift. And migraines, yeah, thank you. So migraines is a big one. Migraines are the most, they're so overwhelming, and they're just so strong. They just absolutely stop you in your tracks. There's no getting around them, right? It's not like a headache. There's no getting around a migraine. But I kind of love them, love them completely. Don't have them anymore, thankfully. But when I had them, my goodness, they're like nothing else. They're to be respected in that they're so strong, so overwhelming, so like you're not getting around them, but they're so intelligent. They're so there is so much communication in them, and when you go into them, they are so yeah, they're so full of information, they're so full of communication, and yeah, so and that starts to unravel, it starts to open, it starts to get more nuanced and tell us what is going on with it. And again, we don't have to just go into, if it's a lot of it is stuff that's being held in the body. Probably with migraines, I would say it's almost maybe always stuff that's being held in the body. And it's not just a question of drink more water. That that doesn't work for migraines. So I think with migraines, it's pretty much always stuff that's being held in the body and held in the nervous system and very physically. So when we drop into the consciousness of the symptoms, that is exactly what starts to open up, what starts to shift, what starts to move, what starts to be released and available. And I think part of the reason that they all come at you in perimenopause is because we just weren't biologically primed to deal with them then. We were too busy, looking after, biologically, we were charged with procreating and looking after the young'uns. But now, because that I mentioned this in the other workshop too, that it's not in the interest of species to have a menopause. We should be fertile for all of our lives. That's the way it should be for the ongoing of the species. So there is some reason that we have perimenopause and menopause, and I feel it's self-actualization, and I feel it's that now our bodies are aware that we are able to process this, and it gives us this beautiful gift of this deep consciousness that we can process this, and we can deal with the stuff, not in any analytic way, but in a fully embodied way. And we have embodied practices to help work those out, and they just shift, and they shift and they change, and we get to them more early, so that we can kind of like disarm them a little bit. That's quite a patriarchal concept, but you know what I mean, to just like shake them loose, shake them loose by the roots. Thank you for that. Anyone else, any questions or any musings, any feelings on perimenopause in general, any shifts that you have experienced, anything you'd like to share, let me know. And if not, hypermobility increase. Okay, that is, okay. I haven't worked with that one before. Hypermobility increase. So yeah, I'm thinking that is elemental. I mean, everything obviously is elemental, but I think that an element, going into the elements will give you a more nuanced sort of understanding of what's going on there. So yeah, so the five elements are all involved in every one of our symptoms, of course, because that's what we're made up of. But some are more out of balance with specific conditions, symptoms, or bodily intelligence. So hypermobility, I'd be really interested to know if there's something around the air and the water, or something that's just allowing for that hypermobility. So I mean, with every symptom that manifests, whatever it is, and that's why I'm confident that every symptom changes, because every symptom is presenting itself as some form of bodily intelligence, and a call to you to drop into that consciousness, to serve your body, and to deal with, to treat, to move beyond whatever is being manifest. So you'll get a more nuanced understanding, and then it'll be often these realizations around why it's manifesting. So generally realizations do come. They don't have to, they're not necessary for the symptoms to shift, to transform, but often they do. I don't chase those, because it's not about that. It's not about the why. It's not about why this is manifesting for me. It's really about communing with it and listening to it in a non judgmental and non going into it way, just in an embodied, diffusing, co-creating way. So any other questions at all? Okay, so I think that may be the end of our questions. So so just If there are any more, you can shoot them in here. But just to wrap up, really, just to bring it to a close. So we have our 3 beautiful shifts. The first is to activate perimenopause consciousness. The third is to allow and to come into communion with our symptoms. And the second and the third is to actualize, to work these symptoms, to work. I described to somebody the other day, it's a little bit like learning to ride a sandworm. So it's yeah, it's deep stuff. And so they're the 3 shifts, and then the 5 weeks. So the 5 weeks are going to kick off next week. And so Eva, I know you're here, and I know you're already in. So I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. The 5 weeks will be, it's 5 weeks, which is quite short, but it will be transformative. It's because we're activating perimenopause consciousness, which is the most transformative of the processes. It's where everything starts, really. It's where you can feel it. And yeah, so we've got 5-week process to understand the symptoms, to decolonize our mind of patriarchal and sabotaging concepts that are just not serving us, to really drop into our intuition and to increase our intuitive capacity so that we can make more not informed but more intuitive, embodied, surer decisions, more confident decisions, to know that not just the symptoms that are presenting currently, but that any symptom that manifests in the future, you will be able to transmute its energy. You'll be able to transform its energy into energy that you can use. And it actually does get to a stage where you're kind of almost inviting them, think, come on. And also to ground the mood swings so that you can just experience more joy and more presence. I think presence is really key. That's, I feel, when it's an embodied perimenopause, presence is kind of the greatest gift. And the night consciousness also, it's just such great bang for your buck that you get so much more out of your sleep. So learning practices that take no more time out of your day, and to have that confidence, that self-connection. So I hope you'll join me. The link is there. What time is it? Yeah. So you are very welcome. So the time, it's basically, I generally allow an hour, but it usually goes over maybe to an hour 15. We do it this time, Tuesday evenings. You're very welcome. And certain days times, so it's exactly at this time. So that's why I did this session, because it's Tuesdays are usually kind of a good time. Monday's busy, Wednesday might be busy, so Tuesday tends to be a time that suits women. And at 7:00. So, and it's an hour, but it's fully recorded and sharing, and it's not really just about this hour, because it's really about the shifts that happen, and most of that happens in the subconscious mind. Most of that happens at night. So if you can't attend this one, it really doesn't matter. You can, of course, you'll get the recording with the practices, but it's a lot of the work is inner work, and it happens between our sessions, and it happens at night. So don't worry if you can't make the sessions, because most of the work happens in the subconscious mind outside of our sessions. But thank you for that question. Yes, I hadn't put that. Yes, so that's it. Yeah, so really the all the bonuses are there, but really, it's not even about the sessions. It's not even about the bonuses. It's about the transformation. It's about kind of your, changing track and getting on a new track, a track to a empowered perimenopause, and it feels like home. It feels like the track you're supposed to be on, and it feels easy. It feels embodied. It feels beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. I want to sign up. It sounds much better than much better try than HRT. Thank you. I do think, I do think it is, I mean, HRT, I'm not like, I never say to women, don't do anything, because every woman's, we're guilted enough all over the place. We all make our own choices, but what I would love is just that any decisions around medicalization would be made after a period of deep consciousness, because my feeling is, once you try this, you're just not going to want that, because it's so much better. You don't want to numb this out. It's too precious. It's too special. It's too feely. The feels are nice. So so I am a little bit partial to it. I am going to sign off. If you have any other questions now, bang them in there. But otherwise, just you're very welcome, Diane. Otherwise, you can shoot me a message afterwards, and I might edit or might not, and I will send the recording out. Thank you so much for being present, and I hope to see you here more or less this time next week. And if that feels aligned, because as I say, yeah, my one-on-ones are fully booked at the moment, so this is the only way that to do it at the moment. But yeah, it's available. See you maybe this time next week, and otherwise just keep an eye on the on the emails for just, I am really passionate about putting out free content also. Namaste. Now, how do I stop sharing? How do I stop?